Welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Owen, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. We have been having the best time unpacking the Word of God with you this week, so I can't wait to dive even deeper with Jen as we look at today's words to live by.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, the MSG version. Be gentle with one another, sensitive. Forgive one another as quickly and thoroughly as God forgave you.
Lovely, Jen. I have the coffee shakes.
Oh no!
I've been drinking black coffee and I just feel like it's making me shake because my body doesn't know how to deal with all of the caffeine. So we're sitting here talking and I'm like, all I can think about is how fast my heart is going.
That's fine. Let's run with it.
Let's run with all the what's the word? Caffeine intenseness. Oh man, so funny. So we're looking at this verse. Man, I love this verse.
Mm-hmm.
I literally feel like I'm a broken record because I say this every week. We often choose these verses quite randomly.
Yeah.
But how often do we kind of like get to the Thursday, Friday and we go, wow, all these verses are kind of we're all on the same wavelength, right? Blows my mind. So this week, honestly, has been a lot about, wow, that's a coffee for you, has been a lot, I can't even speak. This week, we have been talking all about forgiveness, loving people, what it looks like to see other people, be kind to them. And today kind of goes on from that, talking about being gentle with one another, sensitive, forgiving one another as thoroughly as God forgave you. Man, I love, and at the start of this verse, it actually says, make a clean break with all cutting, backbiting, and profane talk. Be gentle with one another. Man, how easy is it, Jen, to just go straight to the negative when things are happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so guilty of this. I feel like I'm someone that really processes with maybe a lens of frustration sometimes. I think that I'm okay at like not letting it seep out into my reactions, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But often my initial thought is like frustration or disappointment or like, I have to really do this thing where I go, okay, I'm going to be gentle. I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm going to see things in theory the way that God is seeing them.
Yeah. I think this verse, my first impressions of this verse is to go straight to, oh, this is such an easy thing to do. But like you said, in the heat of the moment where you're like, oh, no, the first thing, negativity.
Totally.
I feel exactly the same way.
Probably like 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10 times, my first reaction is negative, not positive.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I'm like that as well. And I'm not sure where it came from. Maybe I think it's acceptance that a society, I think it's society who's put that on us as well, to be always defensive for ourselves, that we have to put ourselves first. And if we don't do it and someone wrongs us, we got to wrong them right away. I know you can see them in a lot of TV shows, like Revenge is like that show that's literally taking revenge on other people because they want to defend themselves. And I think that's where it all comes from. That negativity first is because we're defending ourselves. But this verse is telling us no. God is telling us no. God's telling us forgive each other quickly, not slowly, quickly. That should be our first step. Like I said in early episodes this week, work in progress. It is so hard for me to do that, especially in arguments with the husband or with Kev. I'm sorry, but still, I become defensive first off.
Totally. And I think it's a habit and a thought process we have to work at. I love where it says be gentle with one another. I feel like, and you know, people can disagree with me, but I feel like we don't live in a gentle world.
No.
Our world is harsh. Our world doesn't have like a gentleness about it. And so I think trying to learn how to be gentle, how to not, like the start of the verse says, where it says make a clean break with cutting, biting and profane talk. How easy is it? And like I said before, often I don't let this come out I guess, audibly, but maybe in my thought life, something happens, my first thought is, how dare they? Like, you know, I get frustrated. They don't know what they're talking about. Da 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 da. Often I feel like I have a decent filter though of going, okay, Jesus, like what do you actually think about this? Like, God, help me to understand where they're coming from. But it is that thing of like, I don't want that to be where my brain goes to.
Mm.
I think this verse really says like, learn to be gentle. Jesus is saying, learn to be gentle, learn to forgive. And how often do we maybe feel like, whether it's our partner, whether it's our best friend, whether it's our children, how often do we go, oh, we can talk those things with this person. It doesn't count.
Yeah, good point.
It doesn't count. I know that I've been guilty of it. Or like, Tobes, I can talk to you about this. It's not gossip. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
But it is.
Wow. Yeah.
And it is. And those things of being like, and look, I know there are safe people. So often it is that place of, if I need to be frustrated, you know, talking to them. But how do I, and I think ultimately what this verse is how do I actually give it to God? How do I allow God to carry the burden of that frustration so it doesn't end up being unforgiveness, harshness, and anger? Like, how do I work with God to give it over to Him and forgive as He forgives us?
Yeah. I feel like I need to pray in those times. And it's hard to get out of that negativity thoughts and that mindset and go, okay, I need to stop. But that's an action point I've been trying to work on. Just as, for example, Kev doesn't put the dish straight into the dishwasher because it's not that hard, it's just below. I need to stop myself, be like, okay, what is the actual problem here, Jen? What is going through your mind? And what is it that God is telling you? Because Kev keeps doing the same thing. He is not going to change. What is it that I can internally change? And I can actually do that with this verse, is I can be gentle with myself and with him, with Kev, and I can do it for Kev instead. I'm sure if God was standing here right now, he'd be like, Jen, that's okay. It's just a dish. It's okay. He's probably forgotten because his mind doesn't work the way that it is. I didn't make his mind work like this. And God would be telling me, just be gentle with the situation. Be gentle on your mind, because the negativity is not going to help us. It's never going to help us, because it's going to eat within us and it's going to like chip at it. And that's what I think the devil's doing to us. It's allowing these negative thoughts to chip at us right away. And it's something that we can slowly work on every single day. And I think the best step is stop.
I love that. Yeah, stopping and being gentle. It's not always an easy one. I think for this verse, it's kind of going, let's see the best in people.
Yeah.
Let's be gentle enough in our spirit and our temperament and our heart that we can see beyond things and actually go, no. Like, their intention is good. Their heart is not to spite, is not to do anything wrong, but actually being gentle enough to see that. Because I feel like, and this is a side thought, anger, frustration, disappointment, it's almost blinding, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're in that moment of being angry or frustrated, you literally can't, it's almost like you don't have clarity of thought.
Yeah.
And so gentleness, God's really calling us in those moments. If we invite gentleness in, our clarity and our ability to do these things in life and forgive actually is so much greater than if we just spiral into unforgiveness and anger and frustration. And, you know, I think that if we can get anything out of today's episode, it's like almost this prayer of like, God, help us have a gentle spirit. Lord, help us to be gentle with one another. Help us to see the good in other people. Help us to forgive the way that you forgive. Be gentle with one another, sensitive. Forgive one another as quickly and as thoroughly as God forgave you. This isn't always easy, but I think that if we can take baby steps to learn how to be gentle, how to learn how to not let anger and frustration and unforgiveness overwhelm us, but to see the goodness and the intention behind everything, man, it will change the way we go through our each and every day. Today, I pray that as you go into your day, that we're able to have hearts that are gentle and soft. That when we get that email that frustrates us, when our child doesn't listen, that we're able to stop and be gentle. I cannot wait to keep unpacking the Word of God with you tomorrow, but until then, I pray you're able to find moments of joy.